Alright. Oh. Let's see here. Let me try to figure out. First time streaming, I need to figure out how to do the link. I don't know if I just share the... I don't think I share the address bar. No, that's my dashboard. Where's the actual link for this? Server URL? No. Hello, whoever's watching. Just trying to figure out where the actual link is so I can share this stream with others in the Discord chat. It's my first time trying to do this. Seriously, you'd think they would put the link like in a really obvious location. What the hell? Nowhere to be found. What happens if I do this? That's my dashboard. Oh, here we go. That should work. Yeah, okay. Now we're talking. I think I got it figured out. What the heck's going on over there? Cats. Alright. Alright. Stream is linked in the Discord chat. Cool. I'm going to start here in a minute. You can listen to my clickety-clack. Give people a chance to show up here. Yeah, you can heckle me. Heckle me all you want. I'm going to have to put a cat away. Make a fastback version. Well, there's going to be... no. It's going to be a truck and some van variants. I'm going to start with the truck. I'm going to do it in reverse today. I'm going to start with the truck variant, and then I'm going to do the van variants later. Alright. Guess I can get started here. First thing I'm going to cover is cover blueprints a little bit. I got these off of theblueprints.com. What I did is I downloaded the SVG file for it, and then I scaled it into I exported it using GIMP here into a PNG format, and it's a huge file. It's 10K resolution, 1,000 pixels per inch, and the idea of doing that is so that I can just zoom in as far as I need to on any of these lines and be able to trace them out. This does create performance issues if you have a slower system. See, this is almost a half a gigabyte. This is more than half a gigabyte. No, Brazilian, you can't watch me. He's asking if you can watch in the Discord chat. Of course you can watch. That's why I posted it. Anyway, so yeah, I paid for these. This to me, it's worth it to just buy it because I'm going to be spending 2-3 days working on this, and it's the little tiny images that they give you are, to me, they're not very good, and I've kind of been spoiled. I did the paid training course that CG Cookie did, that Corvette training course. Actually, I'm in the middle of it, and I'll actually just show you what I'm working on over there. Where are you at? Over here, working on that. So this is kind of the training course that I'm doing, working on this Corvette here, and learning a lot from it. And you can see one of the main things is getting reflections to pass between panels and all the gaps, having everything to just all line up nicely, smoothly. So you got the fuel door, and everything passes through it real nice over there. You know, all the reflections pass nicely between all the panels. So a lot of this kind of stuff. And the blueprints on this model, as you can see, are really slick. They're see-through. They're if I can zoom in on one of them, they're really high resolution, so it's really easy to just trace these out. And so this kind of spoiled me. And so having done this and seeing how much easier life is than trying to trace out stuff that you just download on the internet that's really low resolution, I've just been kind of spoiled. So what I do anyway, I take these in the SVG format, and I turn it into a very high resolution PNG, and then in GIMP I can just turn this into transparent stuff. And the way I do that is I come into colors, and the first thing I do is go to saturation, and I turn this down to 0, and it'll basically make it into a black and white photo, and give it a second to work. It kind of grayscales it, Can I isolate the black line? Probably. I don't know how to use GIMP that well. I'm definitely no GIMP expert. Just to me, this works and it's pretty quick. So I kind of figured it out, and so I'm sticking with it. I don't need to spend a lot of time doing this, so it's pretty quick. Next thing I'm going to do is go to, no, not exposure. That's the wrong one. It's, what am I doing now? Levels. Yeah, go to levels over here and just take this guy right over there and drag it down to, I don't know, maybe there. And that'll give you a little black and white trace. And let that work. Something like that. Yeah, you can hit OK when you're done. And then the last thing you got to do is come to colors and color to alpha. Do that and you'll have your tracing. It's 3 steps. So it's pretty easy. And then I just cut them out into different images and then import them into Blender. Cut them out, save them as either own individual PNG files, and then set them up in Blender. And so now that's over here. Let me go ahead and open that file up. Over here. And I have them all set up. I have them set up so that you only see them in the side view, the top view, the front view, and so on like that. But when you go into perspective, they disappear. And that's all just in settings over here on your images. You can set this up. There's all kinds of really cool things when you set these up. All you got to do to import them is just do your regular Shift A for add. Come over here to empty and then add image, and it'll give you a little box. Then you'll come over here and you'll import your image into the box. You just rotate it, scale it. You can I create little boxes and planes to set the size right, And then I just kind of scale the image to the planes and the boxes, and then I delete those when I'm done with them. And then another cool setting for like things like this. This guy right there, that one right there. For image storage. Oof. Yeah, that sucks. So one of the settings is you can set it to be displayed only on the front side of the image. This is really cool and helpful. So like when you rotate the image, you see only the image from the back, right? So I've got two images here actually. There's the front and the rear. You know, they're two different images, but you can only see one. You can only see them from the front. So I go to the front, I only see the front. I go to the back, I see the back. That way you don't have, when you go into like rear view, you don't see all the lines from the front one, because if I had that selected, you would see all this overlap, and it would be a pain in the ass to work with it. So you just set it to where you only see it from the front, and I go to front view, and bam, I see the front one. So that's really just how I set up blueprints. Also, just orientation. The way cars are modeled in automation are the y-axis is front to back, and you can see in the gizmo here that you want, I think this is positive y going this way, negative y this way, x going across the vehicle like that. And then also you'll see I have the ground plane is right here, so this is 0 on the z-axis right here, up and down, and I've got the bottom of the body right on the 0, and that's about where you want it to be for automation, because that's about where the chassis cuts off. When you import it into Unreal, the bottom of the chassis is going to be right around here. So if you just go ahead and model it here, it just makes life a little bit easier. We have a little morning beverage here. Alright, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get started from the top view. And I'm just going to start with a plane. No, wrong one. I'm going to start with a plane, tab into it, hit tab will get us into edit mode. I'm going to move these guys over to 0 like that, because I only want I only want to model half of the body. I don't want to model the whole damn thing. It's noon where you are. It's 9 a.m. here. Let's see, GY. Let's go ahead and just kind of get this into position, something like that. And then let me go over to my modifiers tab, and I'm going to go ahead and set the mirror modifier up like that. And let me go ahead and set up my subdivision surface modifier now with a level 1. And I do a little subsurf modeling. Not everyone does this. I might actually be the only one who models in automation this way, because it's kind of difficult to subsurf model and keep your poly count reasonable. So let me see, how do I want to do this? Let me just move this over a little here. And alright, yeah, I think it's time to go ahead and put our container loops in here, about like that. Go ahead and do that. I'll bevel it, and I'll get the roof started approximately. Alright, so what I'm trying to do right now is I'm going to try to follow this line around, and I'm going to follow it with the underlying mesh, not necessarily the actual. Yeah, so I'm going to need a little bit more geometry, which is to be expected. So I got to add a little more containment right in here. Kind of bring that out, and we'll go ahead and let's line that up like that. And do the same thing down here. And I'm going to actually pick the line. And which line am I going to follow here? What am I looking at? That's the window trim. So let's do the top piece of the window trim here. So that'll be this top line. So we'll follow that one over here. Something like so. about there. And this doesn't have to, see now I gotta move it all. This doesn't have to be totally perfect. We are making an automation model, not a photorealistic render. We just want it to be close. We don't need it to be totally exact. Alright, so I kind of have a roof starting to shape out over there. And the reason why I subsurf model is it's just, I think it's a lot easier. Just gives you less mesh to work with. It's kind of hard to learn, I guess, maybe, how to do this, because it's a little hokey. I mean, it's kind of weird working with your vertices way over here and looking at this mesh over here, because that's what you're actually focused on. Because the actual mesh is not the mesh you're working with. The actual mesh is that right there. So that's going to be the actual finished mesh, but that's not what you have. So you don't have to work with all these little vertices. So it saves you a bit of time. So let me go ahead and go into side view here, other side view there, and I'm going to have to, let's get back into edit mode, and let me go ahead and take that wireframe off. I don't want to look at it. And now we got to shape it. We got to shape this guy over the top. I should have traced this out a little differently now that I think about it. Let's go ahead and start with these lines here. I'm not going to move those. I'm just going to move these three. Let's move these three. Let's move all these. Yeah, let's move those up. Something like that. Something kind of like that right there. And these will move forward, I think. Let's try to make this move. And it's all blocky looking. And I don't want this blocky. Oh, dear. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Let me go back to the blueprints section here. I don't like to actually see my blueprints in perspective mode. I only want to see them when they're lined up. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to set them up so I don't see them in perspective mode. So that's just unticking these boxes over here, and then they'll oops, I'm doing it wrong. Gotta untick the boxes. Untick the boxes. Front, untick the box. Rear is not visible. Okay, there we go. Now I'll only see it from like side and top view, which is what I'm working in, and I don't have to look at it in perspective mode. You've maxed your YouTube volume and computer volume at about 20 and 50 on my sound system, but turn on Spotify now, it's really loud, but you're still kind of quiet. Yeah, I don't really know how to fix that. I'm quiet. Well, I got my mixer volume turned all the way up. Got system volume turned way down. I don't really have anything else going on. Let me just turn system volume off then. I don't know of any other settings. This is like I said, this is my first time trying to stream. So let me see. Is there anything else I can do over here? I can't really listen to I can try to listen to myself, but that's going to cause feedback issues, I think. I'll just try to move the mic closer if I can, but it's really in my face already. Thing is, I'm not facing it. It's kind of off to the side a little bit. Alright. Well, I'll do the best I can with it, and maybe I can figure something else out later. Anyway, so I don't want to see all this blockiness, so I'm going to go ahead and smooth all these faces out. And I have a quick menu set up, and this is one of the nice things about Blender 2.8 is this Q hotkey quick favorites, and you can just save your most commonly used functions, which are usually up here. So face shade flat is right there. Face shade smooth, which is what I actually want, so I can actually see kind of the rounded mesh. And still, even though it's low poly, it's still pretty low poly, even though I'm using the subsurf modifier. You can see that's actually pretty low poly. And I'm going to have to work on that a little bit to get the shape that I want without it looking blocky and weird reflections. So we'll just continue working on this model as I go here. And we'll just see what we can do with it. Let's see. So I'll go back into, I think I'll go back to side view. Actually, let me take the wireframe off, tab in, go to side view. Oh, that's not side view, that's side view. Alright, so I think I had the shape mostly set up. Don't want to add another subdivision surface modifier, so what I need to do is add a little more. I don't want to do that. I want a mesh. Yeah, I want a ring that goes around this way right now, but I don't want to create a triangle. That's going to be the best way to do that. I have to get rid of this weird quad right here. So let me go up here into mesh options. I'm going to auto merge, and I'll come back to this. So let me go ahead and just merge that like that. And let me go ahead and add an edge loop there. Go back into side view, and we'll see if I can. Yeah, I think that kind of yeah, that's going to help. That's going to help. So it's kind of like I think I actually want to leave that about there, and we'll bring this down more like this, and we'll bring this guy down about there. Let's see, we'll move these guys about like so. We'll move that about there, and I think that'll improve the overall. Go ahead and throw on a matte cap, not that one. Throw on a nice reflective. Hey, come back here. Nice reflective matte cap, so I can check my reflections. Yeah, it's not too bad. Still pretty low poly. We don't want too high poly anyway, so I'm going to have to fix these corners now. See, because now they're all out of whack. So let me go ahead and go back to Studio, tab in here, and now I'm going to have to add some other geometry. Probably can't use this. Well, I might be able to. What if I do? What if I do? What are you going to do if I use this geometry here? Let me try scaling it out some. Actually, not that way. Let me try scaling it like this. I'm going to do active element scaling so that it scales up against this point here. Let's give that a try. Let's see if I can kind of squeeze it a tad. That's not too bad. That's a start. That's a start. I'm going to add another container over here. Trying to get this shape back. Now, let's highlight all of these. And let's scale this out a bit, like that. It's not too terrible. I'm starting to get somewhere there. I've got to fix all this. This is going to create some weird angles, but I'll fix that in a second. Let me get this guy here. Kind of work that out a little bit better. Maybe work this out a little bit better here. Try to follow that corner. Should be trying to follow the top one, not the bottom one. Should be more like there. Yeah. About like that. About like so. Approximately there. Alright, let's go ahead and move this guy out a little. Let me straighten these lines out. Straighten them based off of the top here, because I'm going to have to move the other side in the same manner. It's important to keep your mesh clean. You don't want to get it all out of whack and start ignoring vertices. You want to pay attention to what you're doing. And let's go ahead and add our next one here. You just don't want to end up with a mess, because once you create a mess, it's difficult to fix it. So let's do that, and I think this needs to be a little tighter. So I'm going to try to bring that in. I'm going to try to bring this in. Let's go ahead and straighten that out a little bit. Keep this quad more of a quad. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Let's see if let's kind of move. Oops, I'm missing something here. Alright, let's move that guy. And straighten this out a little bit. Ah, come on. Alright, and then you, I'll move you about there. Straighten you out a little bit. Let's try that again. Do this at the top here. Try to keep this mesh a little bit cleaner. Alright, let's have a look at that. So, alright, we have a starting of a roof going on here. Now, it's not quite, I've got this weird dip going on in the middle here. I don't want that. I want it to be more, should bow up. So, let me tab back in here. How I ended up with a dip, I'm not, oh, I see what I did. So let's go ahead and move that one up on the z-axis till it makes sense. I'll do the same thing here. And we're probably going to need to move all of these up just a touch. Kind of get a little bow going on here. And let me move these guys down. Kind of reduce the bow a bit. Same thing over here. Oh, that one's way up there. I've reduced that bow a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull these out a tad. And let's try to roughly follow the shape of the truck. Again, this is since it's not photoreal, we have to make it kind of generic. So I'm just using the blueprint as more of a rough guide right now. And that's not too bad. That might actually work. I think I might have a roof. And so let me take a look at what my final mesh will look like over there. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's not too low poly, it's not too high poly, it's just about right. Alright. Let's see then. Okay. Well, that gives me a roof. Alright, what do I want to work on next? I think I'm going to go... I want to tackle the windshield maybe. I think maybe I'll tackle this general area here. Do I want to do the whole thing or do I want to do the windshield? Let me take a look at some more photos. I've got this body line I need to be aware of. That's this one right here. So we could kind of just pull... I think I'm just going to pull the whole thing down and kind of work on it like that. I do want to do these little indents that you see, like there's this window indent here, and this whole thing is kind of a little cut out, and you can see the windows go in like that. So there's a little bit of an indentation around here, and I do want to capture that, but I don't necessarily need to capture that yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and tab back in. Let me grab my other side here. I'm going to grab this edge loop, and I'm going to extrude it straight down to meet up with this line. I'm going to scale it along the Y. Scale it along the Y. Maybe move it a little along the Y. Just kind of get it roughly there. You know, let me go ahead and kind of do this. Scale along the Y some more. Can't really see what I'm doing. Put it in X-ray mode. Okay. Let me go to the top view. And so that line here is going to be this intersection, this little line right there. So let me go ahead and move this guy till it's on this inner line. And I'm obviously going to have to add at least one loop cut in here. Yeah, I'm going to have to add at least one right there. And that might actually help me straighten out this. Let me go ahead and hide that real quick and go back into top mode. And, oh, what's going on? Oh, I see what's going on. Yeah, let me actually... Yeah. Sorry about the vertigo. So, can't quite tell. So what I'll do... I want to do here... I don't quite want to delete this. Oh, look at that mess. Alright, I'm going to unhide it. I'm just going to fix that. It's not all messed up. Alright. Go ahead and just try to fix this again, and I'll come back to the top in a minute. For me, modeling is kind of wandering around in the dark a little bit and feeling your way around until you figure out what it is you're trying to do. This is kind of, I think this is going to create some weird geometry. Yeah, it's going to create some weird geometry looking like this. So, definitely, let me base it off of the bottom, what I do on the bottom then. So, let me start here. So it's this bottom line I'm after. Go ahead and move it to match. About like so. About like so. About there. And I have all these guys here to deal with. I'm going to pull them out so they make sense. It's going to be about there. I'm going to continue to attempt my unwrapping the car body from yesterday. Okay. Not Partario talking to me in Discord there. Yeah, if you got any questions, just ping me. I'll walk you through it here. I can open up a file, and we can kind of go off topic here a little bit, and I can walk you through anything else. Just to separate the underside. You heard the ping on the live stream. Yeah, my mic picked it up. I've got system sounds turned off, but the mic picked it up. Can't hear me talking, but apparently it hears everything else. Alright, let's see here. Let's go ahead and keep messing with this until I got something that makes a little more sense. Still pretty low poly. Let me go ahead and close that up a bit. Close that up a bit and try and match this curve some. Let me go ahead and bring this down. And bring that about to there. Alright. Move this something like that. Alright, let me go back to my weird geometry that I've got. This is just not quite right. So I think what I'll do is I'll just take these guys and move them about like so, and that should help fix it up. Yeah. Let's take a look at our mesh here. How's that look? It's not bad. I mean, it's a little bulge right here. That's kind of odd. What's doing that? Yeah, I can come back to that. Yeah, this little bulge right here, kind of out of place. And I don't have any geometry there. Maybe that's what I need. It's just a one cut. Yeah, probably need to do that. I can probably move it up a tad. Yeah, there we go. I just needed some containment. So with subsurf modeling, it's trying to figure out what you're after, and if you don't add containment loops, you can end up with some kind of weird geometry. And so it's kind of important to, you know, eyeball and pay attention to what you're after, as well as the blueprints, because you kind of got to play with both of them, because it's not going to be a one-for-one thing for automation, because I just can't go high poly like I can on the Corvette. You know, the Corvette is definitely accurate, one-for-one kind of perfect, you know, thing, but it's also much higher poly. It wouldn't work for automation, so you have to keep it a reasonably low resolution. Otherwise, it's just going to be really slow. So it's kind of a challenge because you're working with so little mesh. But at the same time, I think it's easier, if that makes any sense. So let's see. That kind of gives me a bit of a cab. A little bit of a cab now. Oh, over here, I'm not happy about this, but it lines up from the top. So maybe a little inconsistency in the location of my blueprints. It kind of sucks. I mean, they're lined up. I took great care to line them up with each other, but sometimes the blueprints aren't quite lined up perfect. So I gotta kind of decide how I want to deal with that. I might actually be looking. That might not actually be that line. That might actually be some of this trim, like this window trim. No, because this is the window trim. Yeah, let's see. That's the window trim. Yeah, and that's the bottom line. I've got a model to the right thing. It's just misaligned a bit. Alright, well, whatever. I'll just pick a happy medium, and we'll figure it out from there. Just trying to maybe do a little bit like... I think I'm going to use the side more than the top, so I'm going to try to kind of match it up with the side a little bit more than the top. And that's the other half of this thing, is it's actually a little different angle. So let me see. See, now I'm going to have weird... bow's actually not too bad. Maybe there's that one. I'm going to add one more edge loop in here, right here for the glass. And let's see, let's go ahead and scale that out a little bit. I'm trying to get more of an angle for this, and that's not really what I'm after. If I up the crease some, up the crease a little bit, that's a little better. I don't know if I quite need that though for this model. Do I really need it to be like that? Yeah, you know, I think I do. I think it's to get that effect. I'll come back to it later, obviously. For now, to get that effect, I don't know if I want to use the mean crease though. It's not really what that's for. I definitely don't want to add a bevel yet. That's too high poly. Yeah, let's undo that. Alright, I'll just come back to it. I just kind of need to rough this thing out a little bit further, I think. Alright. It's very, very low poly still. So, may actually bevel this line, split it up about like that. But I want all this stuff to be level, so I've got some loop tools here. This is an add-on, and I can evenly space everything using this add-on. And it's a little bit tedious to do it this way, but I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it before I have too much mesh and it's just too much work to deal with. I'm going to go ahead and space all these out here until I have something that's just nice and even between here and here. There. Now it's all even quads, and that'll look nice with the when it's finished. Nice even squares and modest rectangles and nothing too crazy. Good clean mesh. Alright. Alright, go back to side view here. Let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and probably trace this out, and then we'll start extruding back as necessary. And we'll just kind of link it up as we go. So, grab these four. Let's go ahead and extrude them out on the Y. And we'll get these lined up with the front of the car over here. Yeah, that one's fine. And as you can see, it kind of bulges a bit. Let's see how I want to address that bulge. Probably going to have to do that from front view. So let's, where are we at here? Probably going to need to add a little bit of geometry coming off of here. So let's do that later. Scale that on the X until it's right about there. Okay, now let's look at side view. Okay, I'll figure this out. So it should be, that should be this middle point right here. And the thickest part of the bulge is right here in the middle. And again, we're kind of off from the top. The top is a little different from the side. So like I said, I'm going to focus on side view more. And yeah, let me go ahead and move that out a bit. So that makes sense. Let me go ahead and add a loop cut in here. Move that until that makes sense. Alright, let's extrude this down until it's about here. I need to go into front view. And yeah, so I gotta actually, I need to follow this curve with these edges here. So I need to scale this out until the body lines up with it over here. Scale this out until the body lines up. Whoa, hey. Hello. No, wrong. There we go. Oh yeah, I gotta scale that back in a little bit. Hold on a second. No, you know what? Not quite gonna go all the way because yeah, we're gonna go about to here. I'm thinking because I want the whole thing to be rounded a bit. This is too much of a curve, so I'm gonna have to add one more edge loop in here. We gotta kind of tie that down to the bottom for now. I can probably delete that later, but for now I just want to be able to see what I'm looking at. So you need one more loop in here. Kind of make that. Alright, so let me see. How's that look? Alright, so yeah, what I'm trying to do with this is get this part that's kind of right here by the headlight. And so that's, as you can see, it's a little bit in. It's not all the way out to the side. We're not quite there yet. We're more towards the front, and I'm probably going to want to, no, that's about right. It's not too bowed. Yeah, okay. So then I think the next set of lines, I'm going to help finish out this kind of bulging door, as it were. And then this kind of fades away. So I've got to kind of work on all of that. It's a little bit tricky. So it is what it is, though. So we're going to figure it out. And this is going to require a little more. I think this is just going to have to move up. Either that, or I'm going to need yet another loop. Yeah, I'm going to have to probably add another loop in here, because I need this kind of section here. Kind of need this. Yeah. It's not very sharp right now, but we can sharpen that up later. But I am going to need that geometry to make this kind of hump. And I'm going to need it around here too. So let me go ahead and let's do the sides. Let's get that side hump kind of going here. It's not very big. I'm just going to try to like match it up with this. So I'm going to extrude it out. Not too much, just a little bit. It's not a very big hump. Let's put it to maybe there. Only with smoothing, plug-in on. Yeah, well, smoothing is just your faces. That's over here. So shade smooth, shade flat. So shade flat is like this, right? And then shade smooth will kind of smooth all your faces. I think what you're asking is the subsurf modifier, which, yeah, I am doing subsurf modeling. And the reason why I do that is to keep my mesh that I have to work with as simple as possible while I'm working on it. That way I don't have to sit here and deal with a bajillion vertices, you know, because if I were doing it regular, just standard modeling, I'd basically be working with all of this. And that's twice as much crap to work with, and it's kind of hard to deal with. And you can always add it back later, you know, and you can kind of come back and smooth it out. I just find that if you can make this work, it's easier. And so I do this. Works for me. Doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So anyway, there. Let's get that edge out there. So now I should have that line. I don't want it there. I want it in line with the rest of this. Like that. About like there-ish. Okay, now I think I'm just going to follow what I have started. I'm going to ignore the wheel well for now, because I can cut that out. Now I just want to get this side kind of modeled here right now. So from here, I'm kind of going to do this section, this part of the door, and just kind of get it together. So let me go ahead and extrude Z, and then I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to line, I have active element set, and so everything's going to line to this vertex here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale Z0, then I'm going to scale X0, and actually I don't want to scale X0, did I? No, I kind of did. Yeah, I want to do that. Scale X0. And that'll line it up with this one. Now, you know what? That's not what I want to do. I do want to scale Z0 like that. But then what I want to do with the front is I want to line it up with this. Whoa, hold up. What I want to do with the front is I want to line it up with this outer line. There. That's more like what I'm after. There, and we can extrude it again until we're there, and I'll make sure it's, hold on a second, you can line it up with this guy so that it's perfectly lined up. Let's extrude it again until we're about there-ish. Scale Z0, we'll line it up. Extrude again. Whoops. Undo that. Extrude again till we're about here. I'm going to go to the bottom one. And then here, scale Z0. No, you shouldn't turn it on for the DeLorean. It's a little too late. You have to start this way if you wanted to do the DeLorean. And it's, like I said, there's going to be another step to this. I'm going to be adding a shrink wrap modifier to this as well, so that when I cut out all my seams and I cut out everything else, I don't screw up the alignment of the body. So, like, this isn't really... I mean, pay attention to this part, because this will help you. Because you can still take what I'm doing and just imagine more density, because you're basically just doing it with the subsurf already applied in your case. So it's more work in your case, but it's also simpler, if that makes sense. So it'd be easier for you just to kind of just keep going along with what you're doing already. Just pick up, just keep going where you started. But you should be able to still get some ideas with this as for just basic techniques of how to get things lined up. And so you can see I've got, I'm using the various lines on the blueprint to get the body lined up and so on, and kind of faking some of it and, half-assing some of the others, and I don't know how best to explain it, but anyway, let me go ahead and get back to this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and add my little container loop here. Alright, and then let's go ahead and connect all this. I'll hit F to fill, and then to finish filling, I'm just going to go to edge select and hit F, 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 F all the way up, and that'll fill all of that. So now I have my approximate shape of the front of the cab. It's all roundy looking. I kind of got the roundiness of the door figured out, but I'm going to have to kind of taper it off a little bit, and I'll figure that out here in a minute. So let's keep going down. I'm going to continue to ignore the wheel well. You'll probably rewatch a lot of times. Yeah, so I'm going to continue to ignore the wheel well for now. I'll come back to the wheel well when I'm ready for it. I'm not quite ready for it yet. Go back to the front. Let me see. What do I want to do? I got the bumper in the way. Let me take a look at my picture. It doesn't have the bumper in the way. It's just pretty roundy. I kind of just flub it a little bit. I'm going to kind of, here's the line, I think, right? That's kind of the line that I need to follow for the rest of this. So let me go ahead and grab, I can probably go ahead and get rid of this edge loop now. So I'm going to dissolve it, basically just go down here and delete the edge loop. I just needed that for my own visual sanity as I was working on this down here. So I want to do this from side view. Let's do this from side view. I'm just extrude this down. Whoa, I got too much selected. I'm not trying to do all of that. There, let's get that down there. Something like that. And I'm going to do this edge loop thing again, just to kind of help me visualize. Alright, so yeah, let's go ahead and grab all of these, and we're going to scale it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Easy now. Let's go ahead and scale it inward till I have... I'm going to keep it somewhat flat slab side. I might actually use this. I'm going to go ahead and move it up here. Let's see if I can kind of fake this a little bit. Oh, easy, 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 easy. That's not too bad, I don't think. What about that? How does that look? Okay, well, I don't think I want this, though. I just want it at the front. So let me go ahead and grab these guys. And, well, I'm going to leave that one in place. And let's try moving this out until it makes a little sense. I think that makes a little more sense. Maybe a little back in some. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. So I have this bulge, just like the front end. It kind of just bulges out a little bit. So I got that going on. And yeah, I kind of have the general shape going. It's kind of making sense to me. Kind of making a little bit of sense to me here. I've got half a van going. Not too bad. Let me take a look at my my wireframe. Still pretty good. Nice and low poly. I can check my down here. I'm at I haven't even hit 1,000 vertices yet, and it'll tell you your poly count with the subsurf modifier on, which is kind of nice. So yeah, I haven't even hit 1,000 vertices yet. So we're doing good. We're doing really good. This is not running away with the poly count, which is the hardest thing to do with the subsurf modifier, which is another reason why I don't recommend it for you right now on your very first car, because it's really, really easy to run away with the poly count using the subsurf modifier, and it's pretty difficult to keep your poly count low and get an accurate model. It just takes a lot more practice. So stick with the basic modeling technique that you're on right now for that DeLorean. So where do I want to do? I think I'm going to have to cut out the wheel well now. Let me see. Yeah, let's get this wheel well figured out. Okay. How do I want to go about this? I'm actually, yeah, I still think I want this for a minute. Actually no, you know what? I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and increase the mean crease over here, and I'll use that temporarily. That's not actually helping, is it? Isn't really doing anything. It should have worked. Oh well. Well, I guess I'll just use my my little line, because I wanna see the final product a little better. So let's take a look at this wheel well. So this line represents the outer flare, and this line here represents the inner lip. So these two lines are this flat section. Let me zoom in on this here. These two lines here are this flat section here, and this is my outer lip. So I think I'm going to actually start with the outer lip. And how much do I want to model this? Because if you look at the car, you can see that the lip actually goes across the entire bottom of the car, meets up with the rear one. And I think I actually do want to do that. I want to keep this. I want to do that. So let's see. In order to do that, let me grab these four. Let me just move them down, something like that for now, until they line up with this. And let's go ahead and extrude this back one step. Just kind of like, oh, you know what? I never did. I never finished this. Well, it's okay. I can finish this later. That should have been down. I don't know why that's still up there. I didn't grab it. I'm just going to go ahead and line that back up. Alright, so I just extruded this out, and I might delete those in a minute. I'm not quite sure I'm going to keep those, but I just kind of want to complete this so that I have a better look at my wheel well. More of a finished product kind of view. So let me try, what can I do here? Maybe I can do something like that. And yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and knife tool this out from here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to cut it there, I'm going to cut it here, here, probably all the way there is fine. Probably there is fine. Go ahead and cut it there, here, and then I'll just drag it across like, about like so. Alright, and this is going to make some ugliness for the time being. We're going to have to clean all this up. So, you go ahead and delete those. Oops, I deleted too much. Why did I delete? Oh, no. I don't want to delete that. Delete those. Alright, so that gives me a basic cutout. But now I have all these n-gons everywhere. So this has got 5 polygons in it. We don't want that. So what I can do is I can add an edge loop here and connect it, and then I might have to do the same thing with this one. So I may end up going through and respacing all of this all over again to get my wheel well set up. And that's not the end of the world. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and add an edge loop there. And grab these two and hit join. I'll go ahead and add the edge loop here. Hit these two and hit join. And now I've got all this up here that's just kind of a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to respace this out using my loop tools. And I'm going to work my way down until they're evenly spaced again. I don't want to have too much mesh if I can avoid it. This is kind of a lot. I'm not real excited about this. I may actually change my mind. Hold on, let me take a look at the... That's kind of a lot of geometry. I feel like that's a lot of geometry. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with it for now. Stick with it for now. There's only so many ways you can deal with a wheel well. You do have to add geometry to deal with it. I'll keep working my way down. Get the side views. A little better view of what's going on. And I'm going to end up having to... Can't space this out forever. I'm going to just grab these ones and kind of slide them. I don't know how much I want to slide that one. Probably would rather do that. Just trying to keep it from getting out of hand here. We don't want to have all these weird shaped... That's probably okay. That's probably okay. And then I've got this guy here, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. Add an edge loop there. And we'll go ahead and, excuse me, join. I'm going to take a drink real quick. Hold on. Okay. Alright, let's take a look here. And then I've got, well, I have that guy there. And I need that guy there. That guy has to be there. That's a little bit unfortunate. But it is what it is. Let me complete this little guy here. Fill that. Fill that. Kind of get a little idea. And this is the vertice right now that I'm looking at. I've got to deal with. Maybe I can just go across this way. Yeah, I should be able to go across that way. That's probably better. Let me just kind of put it. I don't want to go all the way down here. Maybe here. Then I'll just join that up. And let's see if I can kind of flub this. Oh, I just want to move this one. I'm going to flub this guy a little bit. Just kind of want to fake it some. I need to move this until we're kind of back. Still pretty low poly around the fender. I'm going to just kind of move this until we're where we need to be. And let me actually go ahead and I'm going to go off the wheel well for a minute because I didn't ever shape this section. And I need to deal with this as well. So let me see. Let me go ahead and actually go from here. I'll grab all of this. Just grab the whole thing actually. I'm going to scale along the Y. Go ahead and deselect it. Select that. Scale along the Y. Deselect that. Scale that. Scale it along the Y. So we're about there. And then it's a matter of going up the hill a bit. So let me grab these and we'll go up some. Go up. Go up. Just using the Z. Oops. Hold on. Deselect those. Go up some more. Maybe I can go out a little bit now. And then maybe just a tad. I don't know. Yeah, see, that's making it go up. I don't actually want to go like that. So it's creating a V. So let me undo all that. So I don't, from this point on, I want this to be flat. So that's probably about as far as I can go. Just going to have to kind of leave it alone from there. Well, what I can do though, because this looks a little funny, is I can rotate this. Maybe a bit like that. Let me try shearing it now a little bit out. There we go. Okay. If you don't want to learn what the shear hotkey is, I think it's down here. That's your shear tool. Shearing is, I don't know how best to describe shearing. It's incredibly powerful. It's really useful to do shear. Let me go ahead and try to demonstrate it real quick with another object. Let me see. Let me grab a mesh. Let me grab a plane. Let me just move that out here. Let's go ahead and subdivide that a bunch of times. Alright, let me go ahead and rotate that 90 on the Y. Alright, so what shearing allows you to do is just kind of move a whole mesh over without, like you can rotate, like you might rotate a mesh, but that will cause all these vertices to come out of alignment. And let's say that you want this to stay where it was, what you can do is shear it, and it'll just do this. And so you can kind of you can keep your mesh, you can keep all of your lines lined up if you just want to move everything back or forth, something like that. That's what shearing allows you to do. It's really, really useful. The hotkey combo for it, which is what I use, is Shift Control Alt S. So if you don't want to remember that, there is some kind of gizmo for it. It's this thing. I've never used it. I'm not entirely sure how, but it's actually pretty useful. Just I'm not a gizmos kind of guy. I don't really care for using these little gizmos. I'd rather use hotkeys, but the gizmos are there, and they are quite powerful. And if you use them, you won't be let down by them. They're definitely they're not just for kids. They're not just for amateurs. All right, now this is too low poly right here. Let me take a look at what I can do to remedy this. Now I've got as much density. I don't want to put any more density up here. I don't really want any more density up here. That's as dense as I want this model to be. But I need more geometry for the wheel, which means I can add density down here and maybe a little bit down here. And I'm going to just have to do that. So let me go ahead and add a little loop cut there. Oops. Oh, I still have that stupid tool, so I could get off of there. Get over here. Yeah, let's, so maybe now, with this little extra density, I'm going to try to space this out a little bit more. Space this arch out a little bit more. To kind of try to make it a little more dense around the arch. Like that, and then maybe I'll add that last one right there. About something like that, maybe. And I've got some weirdness going on here, but that's okay, I can fix that. I will fix that with the rest of the wheel arch. So, that's actually looking fairly smooth now. It's not too bad. That's actually passable, I think, for automation. We don't want it to be too crazy. You know, let me go ahead and clean up again. Clean up my lines some. Just try to continue keeping things, you know, not too big a mess. Let me go ahead and move these down now. Can actually kind of even that out a bit, like that. Yeah, that'll work, I think. Alright, now what I want to do is kind of complete this wheel well. So, what does it look like? It flares out more at the top, and it pretty much just stops at the bottom. So, I'm going to have to kind of play with that. It stops right here. So, let me see. How do I want to deal with that? How do I want to deal with that? I think I'll go ahead and extrude this and make it work, and then I'll deal with this when I'm done. So, yeah, let me switch to bounding box scaling. I'm going to extrude and I'm going to scale it in a bit. I'm just going to start grabbing these vertices and putting them where I need them. I'm going to put this guy about there. I'm going to put this guy about here. Put that guy about there. That one. Actually, I kind of want to maybe do this. Maybe I want to keep these in a bit. So, just one at a time. Work your way down. Kind of line them up with the blueprints here. Something about like that. Alright, move these guys around. Well, that's going to be another challenge. Getting both of these to work is going to be a bit of a challenge. So let me go ahead and move into front view here. And, oh dear, I'm already not lined up with the side of the vehicle. So I think what I need to do then is I need to continue this bulge. I can actually grab all of this, all of that, all of it, all of it. I want all of it. And let me go back to the front view here. Okay. Yeah. That kind of sucks that I've gone this far and I haven't addressed this yet, but it is what it is. So, back to the front. Should have done this before I started cutting out the wheel, because now I'm going to have a bit of a mess. but it's workable. Let me take a look at selections. So I still have this bulge that I want. I haven't terminated it yet. But yeah, I have this bulge that I'm after. This bulge here along the side that I'm after. It should be less of a bulge over here. So I think what I'll do is let me grab these guys, and I'm going to line these up with the rest of this going this way. I'm going to keep the front where it is. I'm going to kind of push the back section out a little bit. So that's a little more flattened. But down here should curve in some. So we're going to go back to the front. Maybe not too much there. You guys need to come in a bit. About roughly like that. Okay. So that gives me more of a flat side back here, and more of a tape, there's a little more of this bulge looking thing here. And I think I'm going to actually, yeah, I don't know. Definitely want to keep it there. I may have to add another loop cut in here. Kind of hate to do it, but I might just need to. Yeah. Let me grab from here to here. Now what I'm doing is I'm an edge slide with hitting G twice, and then you hit E, you can line it up, and you can flip it how you're lined up. So I can line it up to this side over here, or I can hit F and I can line it up to this side over here. And what I want is to line it up about like that. And then this line, along with these, I want to actually line that up with the side as well. And so, yeah, it's actually this line here needs to come out from there down to here. Let me get this weird matte cap off of here. It's not really helping right now. So I'm going to move, actually this is not necessary. I'm going to move these out. Well, it's what modeling's like. It's fumbling around in the dark a little bit and kind of getting lost, and till you find your way. Alright, let me turn that back on again. How's that look? So that should help start getting rid of that little flare there. I'm gonna have to do the same thing kind of right here. So let me actually I don't need to worry about that bottom one just yet. Let me X0. Hold on, I'm in the wrong. I need to be active element. Go to active element, scale X0. And what I'm doing now is I'm pushing these vertices to meet up the same width as the one I just set. Hitting SX0 hotkey combo, which will scale along the x-axis until it's perfectly lined up. So let's see. Yeah, that's more or less what I'm after there. So I still have the bulge on the side, starts to terminate and become flat around here. Now let me get back to my wheel well before I got distracted and realized I had made a mistake. Alright, so back to the wheel well here. And I still still need to shape it some. Still trying to follow this line here. So if you want that, let me see if I can find that. That auto spacing tool is an add-on. So you'll go to your preferences. Let's see, preferences, add-ons, and I think you search for mesh. Now, where are my add-ons? There's so many of them. What was that add-on? Trying to remember. I'll have to think about it. I can't really think about it right this second. No. Hold on, it's actually loop tools. That's what it's called. Maybe if I search for loop. There it is. Okay, it's that one. So if you search for loop in the search bar, it's mesh loop tools, and you select on that one. And I think that's a community one. That's not an official Blender one. That's a community one. It isn't working perfectly in 2.8. It's for 2.79, but it works for my needs. But yeah, your auto space will, that's a really handy tool. So that's what that is. Let's see here. Alright, so now that I've got that mostly figured out, I'm going to extrude it again. Let me go back to bounding box center. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to scale it and try to meet up with the inside here. And let's go ahead and shape this inner lip. Actually, hold on. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready for that. I need to actually line this up. That was what I was trying to do. Alright, so I gotta follow this line now, right here, which is the bulge of the fender. And I have a little bit of a hokey looking line going on here, which tells me that my mesh is kind of hokey. Yeah, this isn't quite right. Let me fix this real quick. How do I want to do that? Which direction do I want to go? Whoa, easy. I'm back on bounding box. Let me go back to active element. Really? What? Gotta be that far in. Oh, that is weird. Why is that so far in? I don't think that guy should be in like that. Didn't I scale all these? Oh, I scaled these up. Okay, I still have to work on this. Sorry. More repairs to do. More straightening out to do here. Yeah. See, that's kind of... Is that what I want? Is that what I want? That's my... Yeah, that's my bulge. So I think I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that the way that it is, and I'll just work around it. So let me... Okay. Yeah, that'll look fine. Alright, let's go ahead and... Actually, this is a good candidate for a shear operation. Right here. So what I think I'll do is I'll pull that out till it's about there, and I'll shear it back until it matches. What's going on? Yeah, there's the line. Matches the loop a little bit. I'm going to have to do some manually here. So let me go ahead and move this about like so. I can't really see what's going on. So, you know what? I want to see this one at a time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hide the rest of my mesh, and I'm going to hide this. I just want to see these vertices right now. This is what I want to line up. Yeah, it's right here is what I'm focused on. Let me get this straightened out till it's about there. Alright, now let me alt hide. Let me go ahead and do that again. This time I want to hide this portion of the mesh. And yeah, I want to straighten these up so they line up a little bit better. Alright. Oh, there we go. Let's take a look at that. Alright, now I have my fender flare beginning. And yeah, it's a modest fender flare. It's not a big flare. I don't need to go crazy with it. So yeah, you can see what I've done with the shear tool is it has allowed me to create my tapering flare, so that I have it more flare at the top and less flare. Let me go ahead and throw on, just in case you can't see it. There, with the edge loops, with the the mesh overlay. This is what the subsurf looks like. So yeah, it's working, isn't it? It's working pretty good. And I'm gonna have to clean up this mess eventually. I'm gonna do that last because I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it, and I'm gonna have to fix this here, which actually is pretty much already pretty squared away, it looks like to me. So let me go back to, I want to check the reflections again, turn off my wireframe. So kind of weird reflections right here right now. Not sure why it's doing that. So that's kind of an issue. I'm not sure what's going on with that. We should be able to fix that with the shrink wrap modifier, I would think. Because if we take this and we up the subsurf, yeah, if we up the subsurf, it goes away. So we're going to be able to fix that with the shrink wrap modifier. So let's get back in here. Let me get this matte cap off. Alright, let's go back to bounding box scaling. Now I'm ready. I'm going to extrude, scale it. Now I'm going to go ahead and set these guys up. Until I have a bit more of a wheel well shape. This is just the lip now. Okay, that looks alright. Yeah, and it even tapers off. Look at that. Pretty cool. So I've got my taper going on here. And just so you can see this a little bit better, let me go ahead and sharpen it. We probably won't leave it a sharp edge. And I got to come over here to make that actually work. Go over normals, auto smooth. There. So I can kind of see my edge a little bit better. And you can see it kind of taper off. And we can actually get rid of the sharp edge on this, so we don't want it there. Oops, hold on. Hold on. Smooth edges. There we go. So that's not actually how I'm going to handle that. I'm not, well, I might actually, it depends. Looks a little low poly, so I'm probably not going to leave it like that. I'll probably come back to it later and bevel it. But I'm not going to bevel it just yet. I don't really want the extra mesh right now. So now I got to fix this area right here. So this area looks pretty much done. Pretty happy with the front. I think the front is going to be just fine. So now I'm going to come back to the back here. And I'm going to fix this up some. Alright, what does it look like in real life? It's a little sharper. I have a kind of a weird curve. It doesn't do that in real life. It's much sharper. So what I have to do is continue this wheel lip. So I need all three of these lines. I need all three of these to continue. So 1, 2, 3. I need all of this to continue down the side of the car, which is fine. We can do that. I might end up doing a bit more cutting up down here. Let me think about it for a second. How am I gonna You know, let me go refill my mug of morning beverage, and I'm going to think about that for a second. Alright, I'm back. Let's see. So, I need to follow this line here. It needs to follow back there, which it already is. So then this guy needs to become its own line going this way. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the knife tool, and we're going to make that happen. Let's go ahead and cut it there, there, there. I'm going to cut it in right there, and that's going to give me a triangle, which I do not want, and I will not keep. Let's see. So I don't want to get rid of that triangle now. Let me go undo that real quick. Maybe I just do this. Think about that for a second. Let me try this for a moment. What I need to do is, oh, that doesn't need to be sharp edged. Whoops. Smooth edge. So I'm trying to get this guy to become here. And it flares out, and it becomes pretty flat actually. So let me go ahead and grab all of this. All of that right in there. And yeah, you know what? Hold on. I'm still not happy about this. Weird. It's just too smooth. This curve is too smooth. It needs to be less smooth. It needs to be more like that. Let me see if I can shear this back. Well, I mean, that's one way to do it, I guess. That's not quite what I was after. I've got to go to active element. I was on bounding box. So, yeah. Overall, that's a little better. Yeah, I think that's a better angle. That to me makes more sense, that particular angle there. So now it's a matter of getting the rest of this lined up and making some sense. So that doesn't make sense where it is. That doesn't make sense where it is. So let's scooch those up a bit. Scooch that up a bit. It's going to have to follow like this. It's probably going to look a little funny. That will probably make a little more sense if I do that, and that'll probably make a little more sense if I do that. It's kind of a guessing game right at the moment. I'm not quite certain how I want this to play out. I want to put this up here though, because I want this and this to be this line. So let me go ahead and this is all part of this. Let me go ahead and grab that also, and that. And let me take a look at it from this angle. And I can probably afford to move it out just a tiny bit more, like so. Do the same thing here. Out just a little bit more like that. And then I think what I'm going to do is go back to active element. Let me try scale x0 and getting that flat. so that I have my line. Let me go ahead and sharpen this edge so I can actually see it. So now I have a little bit of a hokey looking thing going on here. It's not quite what I'm looking for. This is probably causing problems over here. Let's move this up a little bit. It's going to go off the blueprint line now, but it's not that important. So that's probably about what I need to do, approximately. I think maybe I want to bring this in a tiny bit, right here. Maybe I want to bring that in just a bit. Like that. And maybe I want to bring that in just a bit. Just right there. Just a tiny bit. Kind of help that flare. Yeah, I think that's probably a little better. Let me take a look at that with the... Okay, so that transition's making a little more sense. It's not very sharp. It's sharper in real life, so that's what happened when I moved it up. So it should be sharper. Let me go ahead and move it back down until it's about there. It's a little better. Still have this really sharp angle right here. I'm not entirely sure why. It's got to be just this containment causing it. Let me put this up here. Let me put this more like that. And I gotta fix these now. I'm losing my sharper angle. I don't really want to lose that. I'm kind of getting back to that roundy fender angle, but I have to deal with it. Still hokey. This is not right. I've gotta fix this. I think what I might need to do here is just add a little more geometry. Let me take a look at my modifier real quick. Yeah, it's on. I don't know, it should be smoother, I would think. It doesn't seem to be, like, smoothing it out. Let me go ahead and grab this line real quick. Just grab the whole thing. I'm going to get rid of all the sharp edges. And so smooth the edges out for now. What would happen if this had a bevel on it right now? I'm not going to do a bevel and keep it there. I just need to know. I mean, it's starting to make a little sense. Yeah, I'm close. I'm not a big fan of it, but we're close there. Let me go ahead and extrude this back real quick. And just kind of make a wheel well, so I can kind of just clean that up and throw a container loop in here and kind of see my. All right, yeah, this is gonna need bevels. I'm not dying to add them just yet, but they're definitely going to need some kind of beveling. Otherwise, it's going to just look a little dull. That doesn't need to be beveled. That needs to be beveled. Oops. I'm just going to add these real quick and take a look at my my fender here. Now let me go ahead and up the subsurf real quick. See, that actually looks pretty good like that. Obviously we can't model it this way, but I can add a shrink wrap. Let me go ahead and see what happens if I do it now. I can't use the shrink wrap yet till I'm done, but I can kind of start. So need to get a little more organized here. Let me go ahead and create a new collection. I'm going to call this the Econoline Truck. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and move my... Which one are you? They're both the same right now. So this will be Eco Truck Target. I'm going to move that guy down here. And then this guy is going to just be Eco Truck. And I'm going to put that down here also. There, now I don't need to have that blueprint thing open. So, let me select the Econoline Truck Target. Subsurf up to 3. So that it looks good like there. Okay. Not sure that's quite right. Well, that's probably alright. So then let me go over here to the actual Eco. I'm going to make sure I'm not seeing the Econoline Target. I just want this. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to grab my shrink wrap modifier. Actually, hold on, before I do that, let me cut the subsurf modifier back down to 1 so that this is the actual model. Now let me go ahead and add my shrink wrap modifier. I'm going to grab the Eco Truck Target and yeah, so that's actually helping, I think, a little bit. It's not really doing anything just yet. Why not? Why isn't it doing anything? I have to figure this out. Should be smoothing out my mesh by now. Shouldn't need to assign it to anything. Well, maybe I do. Let's go ahead and just create a group. Call it shrink. Maybe I do actually have to do. What the heck? Assign everything with a weight of 0 to shrink. And go back to the modifiers and add it. And it's not really helping. It should help. I don't understand why. What am I doing wrong? Should be above surface. Oh, that's weird. That's not doing anything. I may have to revisit this. Go back into my Corvette training and figure out what I'm doing wrong. I did this with the JKs. It worked beautifully. On the surface. Oh, and you know what it is? No. Is it location? Yeah, that's what it is. It's in the wrong place. Okay, there we go. Yeah, shrink wrap goes above the subsurf, I believe, is where it needs to be. So that actually helps. So now we're seeing what it looks like with the shrink wrap modifier, and that fixes some of those reflections. Still not perfect, though. This is kind of hokey. I don't understand why it's so bad. Just probably need to add more geometry, which sucks. The last thing I want to do is add another edge loop in here, but good grief, I may not have much choice. I may have to add one here. I may have to add one here to get these reflections to straighten out. And I may have to put one in here. And that really sucks. Yeah, that actually does help the reflections quite a bit. That's, what am I at now? 2,000 vertices. I'm halfway done with the model. I haven't done any. Yeesh. I don't know if that's what I want to do, though. That's a lot of extra geometry. I may have to rework this a little bit to clean it up, because otherwise it's just too much. Let me go ahead and space everything out. me just space it out and see what it looks like. Looks pretty easy now. That's also going to be kind of a nightmare to skin with this much geometry. Still having some kind of weird reflections right here. It's probably because this polygon is kind of a weird shape. Yeah, maybe I can straighten this one out too. That's much better. Still not great, but it's significantly better. Alright, well, what's the wireframe look like? It's not as bad as I thought. It's still pretty damn high. I don't want a mesh that highly dense. If I can avoid it. I'm really, to me, reflections are just really important to get looking good. There's, you know what? There's some car models in the game that, to me, are the reflections are just so bad, and I'm kind of just sensitive about it, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to end up with just things that don't line. I took a picture of one yesterday. Let me see if I can just find it here. Where is it? Don't do this. Whatever this car is in the game, you can see, like, I don't know who. I apologize if this is your body. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I don't know who made this one, but I mean, like, you can see the way the reflection goes. It's just not at all lined up between the door and the back quarter. Here, this reflection doesn't line up here. This reflection doesn't line up here. This reflection down, like, these reflections just don't line up, and it makes the car look bad, you know. And there's a lot of car bodies in the game that have these just kind of mismatched reflections, and so that's just the kind of thing I'm trying to avoid, is not having wonky looking reflections like that. And where did everything go? There. That's a fairly old body. Yeah, it looks like it might be like a key converter or something. I'm not sure, but that's just one of those things. Like, yeah, I don't want to end up having a car that looks like that. Quite early in key version. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But yeah, it's so. This reflection is concerning me. I'm not happy with that. And what happens if I get rid of my subsurf right now? See, if I was just trying to do it without the subsurf, it's just, yeah. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like it should be problematic. It's probably these guys right here. These quads right here are probably the culprit. And so I'm going to try my best to just clean this up. And have less wonky quads. There's only so much I'm going to be able to do with it. Still better. And another half of this issue is this bulge. I'm trying to recreate the bulge, and I'm having the bulge terminate in here, you know, let me see if I can see that in the wireframe. So the idea is this bulges, but it gets flatter over here. So I've got all that trying to happen, and that's probably the source of most of my problems, is just trying to do maybe a little too much for a low poly model. So I don't know. I'm not going to obsess over it for now. I think I'm just going to, I'll think about it later. If I want to come back to it, maybe I can fix it later. But I need to move on. We need to move on and model the rest of this thing, because we're almost done. We've got the hard stuff out of the way. Getting the front end done is the hard part. Now we can just kind of move on to the rest. We'll do the rear wheel well, which looks like it'll be, you know, about the same problem as the front one. And so let's move on. Let's go ahead and get this fixed back up. And do I want to join these up? Yeah, let's go ahead and join these up. And fill that. And so that should give me that to work with. What's the truck look like? Okay, so this little body line right here continues, that's the top of the bed, so we will extrude from there all the way down to here. And we'll bring that all the way back. Look at this little body line. Do I want to do something with that? If I want to add this body line, I'm going to add that later. I don't know if I'm going to even bother, though, because that is probably... Yeah, see, it's not on the vans. It's just on the truck. Yeah, we're not going to put that in there. We're going to leave it kind of slab-sided. We don't want to complicate the mesh any more than we have to. We're going to have to add doors and all kinds of seams and stuff. Alright. So let's go ahead and extrude this back. Where are my faces? What's going on? Why did I not get faces when that happened? Hold up. Hold up. Hey, what the heck? This is weird. Something is off. Something is not quite right here. I don't know why I'm not getting faces. Oh, yes I do. Yes I do. I gotta turn the shrink wrap off. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because it was trying to shrink wrap this and was sucking it back into the body. So that's why I don't generally deal with the shrink wrap until I'm done. But I just kind of wanted to see where I was at. So, yeah, whatever. I'm going to have to actually delete the other truck, and we'll have to bring it back later. And we'll just leave the shrink wrap dead for now. We'll come back to it. So, again, I'm going to ignore the wheel well and I'm going to cut it out. And we'll just kind of figure it out from there. Let's see. Let me go ahead and do this. And actually, I need to put in an edge loop. Do I need to deal with this yet? I don't want to deal with this. I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about this. I don't want to move this yet. You know, I think it might, maybe I'll just move this out here and I'll use the knife tool. Like so. Just go about like that, about like there. I'll just cut this till I have roughly the shape I'm after. And the rest of this doesn't matter because I'm going to have to, I don't think this really matters. I'm going to end up reshaping a lot of this. Just delete those. Okay. I'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to think about this wheel well here. Actually, let me go to the top view. Let me see, where are we at here? You can see the bed actually looks like it tapers a tiny bit. Tapers in just a touch. Okay, so we got our side, we got our little guy going down here. Okay. guess we'll just knife cut it again, and we'll add the geometry as needed. Yeah. Get a good view of this back one here. This back flare. Kind of the same as the front. It goes up here and then it just kind of tapers into nothingness. So we're going to kind of try to do the same thing we did in the front, which is have it taper off into being nothing. Alright. I don't quite have this lined up right. I guess it's just not completed. That's fine. I'll fill that in later. Okay, that's fine. Don't need to add that geometry now. So, yeah, let's grab the knife tool and we'll see what we can do. Let's go ahead and cut this out. We'll go there, go there. I'm going to probably need one here. Going to need one here. Going to need one here, here, there, 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 there. We'll just kind of do that. Okay. So that's not too bad. Let me go ahead and throw a loop cut in here. So let's wind up with that. Actually, I kind of want it more lined up with this. So I want it to look more like that. There we go. About like so. Now how many do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to go ahead and bevel this and get 7 cuts going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's 7. And we'll drop that right there. Then I'm just going to go ahead and join these. Okay. This I can just merge up to it, I think. I don't know, do I want to though? If I don't, I have to either put a line this way, or put a line, I don't want to put a line across. I'll put a line, yeah, I'll put a line over here. We're going to do one there, try to keep it pretty square, and we'll do one over here. And we'll join that. We'll join that, and we'll have to fix up. We'll have to fix some of this up here later. Okay, so otherwise, we're mostly squared away. That was actually not too bad. Let's delete those. And that's not the worst thing in the world. Alright. I actually got my little wheel well cut out. Now, it looks like it's a little lower than the front one. How's it like in real life? Is it like that? It's lower in real life, too. Okay, cool. So that'll look good. Yeah. This van is so 60s. That's why I chose this thing. It looks 60s to me. This thing just looks like it's going to fit the era. We need a van for the 1960s. This thing, I think, is going to fit the bill very nicely. So now I'm going to, I guess, create the rest of this. And I'm going to kind of, I think I'm going to do it from here to here. Like this. I think I'm going to ignore that section this time, and I'll just kind of like stitch it all together when I'm done. Because maybe that was the trouble I gave myself on the last one. So let me go ahead and switch to bounding box scaling. I'm going to extrude, scale, and I'm just going to kind of manually place these. Right about here. Right about there. Right about there. Just matching the subsurf up to the blueprints. Not worrying too much about my actual lines, but I'm matching the subsurf up to the blueprint lines. Da-da-da-da-dee, la-da-da-da-dee. No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's better. Okay. Okay, so now let's have a look here. We do kind of the same thing we did before. Let me look in the rear view here. And yeah, the rear is not entirely lined up. So I guess I'm going to just kind of fake it again. So let's move this along the x-axis till we're right about there. I'll grab this guy, back in the rear view, and I'm going to shear it. Shift, Control, Alt, S. And oops, I need to be an active element. Shift, Control, Alt, S. And let's do something like that. Something about, let me get my, see what that has resulted in. See, I don't have any containment over here, so I have this kind of weird, that's probably what I am lacking over here. It's just this loop needs to contain this section probably a little closer to get the reflections better. That might be my issue. I might just have to scooch this over, maybe from here to here. Till I have a little bit better reflection containment. Yeah. And this is probably going to have to, like, I don't know. Maybe both of these are going to have to kind of move down a little bit. Just a touch. Don't want to go crazy here, because that's my bulge. Still not really terrific. I don't know. We'll fix it later. Again, we'll fix everything later. Let me grab this. I think what I'm going to do, because I know I need that containment, I'm going to think a little bit further ahead this time. Let me go ahead and do this. And let me go ahead and space these. And I'll probably have to, like, tweak that a little bit. That's just too much. We'll do something like that. We'll do something like that. Actually, you know what I'm thinking I want to do here? I want to grab this. I'm going to try to get it. Let's give that a try. See, that's the kind of containment I actually should have done on the other side. I should have contained this a little bit better. Let's try to just make this a little less extreme an angle. And then from here, it's just going to be a matter of adding another loop tool, loop cut, and containing it this way. That should help. Do the same thing over here. Huh, I have an end gone over there? Oh, look at that. What's that doing there? Let's dissolve that. Okay. And probably scooch this out a tad. No, it doesn't need to be that tight, I don't think. And we're getting much better reflections already. So I think that's what I neglected to do on the other one. Of course, the solution to this might just be to bevel it. kind of put a larger bevel in there. And yeah, I think that's going to end up having to be my solution over there for the most part. Just throwing that bevel in there. And once we shrink wrap it, that should clean that up pretty good. Alright. Let's try to get this finished here. Alright. Let's see. Back to bounding box. Center, extrude, scale, line everything up. I'll get off this mat cap. Kind of the same as before, just follow the existing pattern that I set above. Just move these down, move these down. Okay, now I guess I can kind of glue it together. Since I have a bevel there, I'll go ahead and throw a bevel in real quick. So I want this to just become nothing. So let me go ahead and grab these. And we want to just kind of do this. Hello. Come on. Confused, apparently. Man, what the heck? Okay. That's still not quite there. What the heck, man? Come on, man. Yeah, I'm having a bug right here. It's not deselecting the line. There we go. Okay. So I want that to be more like there. And let's see. So what I'll do, let's go ahead and connect the back. I'll extrude this down to about here-ish. And I'll go ahead and fill this. Go ahead and pick this until I have the angle I'm looking for. Like there. And I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to extrude this down. Actually, hold on, before I do that, let me make sure this is lined up. I'm going to scale X0 it. Extrude this down. Same thing here. Scale X0. Grab that. I'm going to scale Z0 that. Oh, you know what? Dang it. Hold on. I gotta go back. I need to be on active element. Yeah, because I want it to flatten out here. I want the whole ordeal to flatten out here. Alright. Get that down here. I want it lined up. Scale X0. Let's go ahead and fill this. Let's grab this guy here. Extrude it down. Scale Z0. Scale X0. There, we'll go ahead and fill that. Okay, now there's actually a tool I'm not real familiar with. It's called Polybuild, and I can kind of grab a corner and just build out. That might actually be useful for this situation here. Just kind of build out the rest of this way. So I don't have to sit there and just kind of, yeah, I can just do that. That's actually pretty handy. I've only used this tool a couple of times. I think it's new to 3.8. 2.8, and it's kind of handy in this particular instance. Okay, back to select. Make sure all the new stuff I just created is actually no. This line should be lined up with that, and yeah. Then this whole line here. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that they're the same distance on the x-axis. So let me go ahead and rotate it so you can actually see what I'm doing. Scale x0 is sx0, sx0. So now the idea there is to we're just tapering it off so that it disappears. Is the idea. And I think I've probably got some normals going the wrong way here. Something's not quite right. Remove doubles. There was one. Maybe that was the issue. Yeah, there was a double vertex in there somewhere. Okay. So that should take care of the back. That should taper off. It does. Tapers off nicely and becomes nothingness. Just what I wanted. Whole bunch of nothing. Alright. Let's do this section here now. And take a look at what I got. It's already pretty close to lined up. Let me go ahead and get this mat cap off of here. And so I think what I'll do, let's go ahead and grab these and extrude them about like so. And then I'll just fill this in. And then let's try that poly build tool again. That was kind of cool. That might actually really help out here. Let me make sure that these three, before I begin, lined up on the x-axis, like so. Probably line them up on the z-axis too. So that should get us. Wait a second. No, you know what? That's wrong. That's wrong. That's not what I want to do. I don't want it to taper off. I want it to meet this. Just like this. It should. Okay, alright. I am making mistakes. It's alright. We can fix this. We can fix this. Let's start here. We'll move this line out. Move this line out. About like so. Okay. Now let's do our little poly build trick. And we can fix everything as we go, right? So we'll throw that guy in there, we'll throw that guy in there, throw that guy in here. Do this little guy here. I am not doing a very good job of it. Could be doing better. So then let's try to get our shape going here. Yeah, okay. But now it's all wonky, obviously, because it's just a weird little poly tool. But what I'll do is I'm going to grab from there to there, scale x0, go from here to here, scale x0, and from here to here, scale x0, and this one will probably have to be kind of split the difference. Whoa, what happened there? I missed one. It's not lined up. Why is this not lined up? There. Do that. Okay. So that should, if all of these are lined up from here, okay, this needs to be lined up better. So what I should do is grab all of these and line that up like that. Yeah. I think that's what I'm after, because this whole thing should tail upwards. Yeah, there we go. I think we got it. I think we got it. Perfect. Ish. Perfect-ish. So I got it tapering off here. I've got it connected over here. Gives me the body line. Alright, that gives me what I want. Is getting somewhere. Whoa, what's happened here? Why am I missing half my mesh? Did I accidentally delete something? Well, okay. I guess I'm fixing this now, no big deal. But let me make sure I have clipping turned on mirroring. I'm just going to extrude that on. Oops. Hold up. Wrong buttons. Extrude that along the X, and we'll just join that back together. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Somehow I deleted my midline. That is weird. I don't know when I did that. Okay, well, I'm probably going to have to go back and touch it up some. Oh, look what I never did. Look what I have not done. Look what I never did here. Oh, I'm an idiot. That sucks. Okay, I never followed the roof line that curves off this way. So, this might actually be best accomplished with an orthographic pole, or sorry, not an orthographic pole, a proportional editing. So let me go ahead and hide that, hide this. Just want to grab, not you, I just want to grab this outer line, go into front view. Let me go ahead and get off of this matte cap and hit the O hotkey. That's going to engage proportional editing. And what that should allow me to do is just kind of pull this down like that. Pull the whole thing up. But it's that's not the right one. Maybe I need linear. There's different curves. Linear is maybe what I'm after. Maybe if I do linear a couple of times. I do that and do it one more. Oops. What happened? Let's try this again. Let's do a linear. Let's do a linear one to here. And then we'll do another one with a smaller circle to there. That's probably better. Alright. Alright. Yeah. I didn't have a rounded roof. That was kind of dumb. I mean, I remember doing the side. I just never did the front. So the side is all set. Now the front is set. So now I have more of a roundy round look going on here. Yeah, alright, cool. And yeah, you can see it does that in real life. It does have that curve. I don't know how I forgot to do that, but it's fixed now. Turn proportional editing off before I forget. Oh, I think it already is. Alright. I guess I'm just going to connect the back now. Finish off the back half. Oh, you know what else? I forgot to really actually do here. And I don't know how crazy I want to follow this, because I don't want to have the chassis sticking through the car. The chassis is going to be right about there. So I may actually not follow this too much. I don't know. Maybe I'll follow it a little bit. Let's try to shear this a little bit. Oops, it is orthographic. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm active element. So let's see. There's a way to kind of rotate my view here. Maybe if I just do this. No. Let me do it. Here it goes. That's what I needed to do. Okay. And the y-axis. There we go. That's what I'm after. So I'm going to shear that up. Kind of give. I don't want to go all the way up though, because again, I don't want the frame to stick through the automation frame. So I'm just going to kind of fake it a little. I'm going to go to there, and yeah, that'll be okay. go ahead and grab the side, go to top view, and let's see about finishing this up. What line is what? What am I looking at? So this would be the inside of the bed. This would be the top outside of the bed. And this here would be roughly somewhere in between these two lines, because that's a tailgate. So I'm going to actually kind of try to get this in between these two lines here. Just a bit. So let me go ahead and extrude this along the X like this. I'll go ahead and join those. And go ahead and throw a container loop in here to kind of do that. And I'm going to throw another container loop in here. They don't need to be so close together now. Get this mat cap off of here. You just kind of need that. So let me see, where was I actually? Did I end up in the middle of the bed? I don't think I did. Not quite. So let's go ahead and scale this. No, we don't need to scale. I'll just move it till I'm right about in the middle of the bed there. And I need to actually redo this. I'm going to delete that edge loop and redo it. Probably, I don't want it too shallow. That's pretty decent. Very low poly right there. We can go ahead and add another 2 loop cuts there. Go ahead and add a few over here. Make it into squares. Square-ish. Alright. Okay, so we kind of have a body going here for the most part. The little lip down here is a little funky. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't need this. I'm going to get rid of it. I don't need that edge loop. And I probably don't need this edge loop. I'm going to get rid of that too. Just keep this one. And let me go ahead and move it in this way. And then I'll go over here and we'll move this one in about that way. And that makes a little more sense to me. That makes a bit more sense to me. Make sure I've got the same deal. Yeah, front's fine. So now it's kind of nice and rounded off. Alright, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break here, and I'll come back. I've got a cat that needs feeding. Okay. Yeah, I got a cat that has some digestive issues, so I have to feed her like small meals throughout the day instead of feeding her just twice a day. Alright, so anyway, we have completed everything but the bed, I guess, at this point. So let me take a look at what I want to do from here. So the bed kind of just, it's kind of a unit body little thing. So there should be, this lip is something I should maintain all the way through the model. So let me go ahead and grab this lip here, and I'll go ahead and do bounding box center, and I'm going to extrude it and scale it a little bit just for a second. Now, let's see. These guys have kind of gone the wrong direction. I want them... How fat do I want this bed? Got to think about this from an automation perspective. I kind of want the bed... I don't know. We'll see. Probably about that much. Probably about that fat right there. Would be a good amount. Let's try to get this back into a little bit more of an aligned look here. These guys are kind of all out of proportion. Oops. Let's get back to active element. Okay. That's alright. So, the other thing is, it's not flat, is it? It kind of tapers up. So let's actually pull this up here till it's lined up with that guy. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this and fill that. See how that looks. Okay, not too bad. Let me go ahead and grab these guys. Get this matte cap off of here again. Grab these and extrude them. I don't want to extrude them straight down, I don't think. I want to extrude them at an angle. I want to put them out there. So select that. I'm going to scale Z0 so that they're perfectly lined up. Let's go ahead and fill that one. And then same thing. I want this lip to come out here. So let's extrude this out along the y-axis a little bit. And let's see, how do I want to do this? Put that about there. I could add more geometry. I'm trying to think if there's a way I can do this without ending up with a triangle here. Just put the triangle in for the moment. Just for the moment. I'm going to look at it. I really don't want to keep that triangle there, but I may not have much choice. That triangle with the subsurface modifier will become a 5-point n-gon. But you don't want that either. Think, Rooster, think. What am I going to do with this? I mean, a little more geometry down the side I don't think is the end of the world. There's already a good amount of it there. What is my model? My model is 4,000 vertices total, so I'm way under budget. Still got a pretty low poly model, but I haven't done any windows or seams yet. This is going to end up being about 10,000 when it's totally done, I think, with the windows and the seams and everything. So I would like to avoid that. Actually, check that out. Check that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. It turns it into a quad. So that triangle isn't going to end up being a triangle in the subsurf mesh. That's handy. Okay. Well, maybe I'll live with it then. Okay, let's turn that wireframe off. The other issue is reflections might be a little funky with that 5-point, or that just where that quad looks like that. So it's not great. But I mean, it probably just needs to be contained with like a bevel of some kind, or a... We're going to have more geometry in here once we start cutting in windows and everything, so we ought to be able to clean this up. Alright, let's go ahead and complete the bed. Let me get that done. Let me get the mat cap off of there. Alright, now let's just extrude this straight down a little ways. I gotta try to eyeball. Automation has huge wheel wells that really create problems with truck beds. So you gotta really kind of think about how do I want this to look. So I'm thinking, let me go ahead and extrude it down one more time, give myself some geometry till I'm, let's call it right about there. And then I'm going to move these, I'm going to start moving these up and start making this look a little bit like a wheel well. Easy now. That doesn't really look right there, does it? Let's move that out a bit. Puts the wheel well really high, which is okay. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Alright. Let me go ahead and let me think about how I want to extrude this. There's this point here. I'm going to extrude until I go here. Let me line it up with that. Make sure I'm on active element. SX0. Okay. Let's extrude it again along the x-axis. Highlight that. SX0. And that's about as wide as it needs to be. That's pretty wide, but some of the automation fenders are pretty freaking wide in there. So you need really kind of ridiculous looking wheel wells to hide all the model. Anyway, no big deal. Let's think about how we're going to connect all this together. Let's grab these, extrude along the, well, what have I done? What have I done? Grab all these, extrude along the X, SX0, extrude along the X, SX0, and we'll just extrude all the way across. Let's grab this, and we will just fill it in. Same thing here. Oops, grab the right one. Yikes. There. Fill that in. Alright. Let's go ahead and create the side here. 1, 2. So I'm going to extrude that down. Scale Z0. About like so. And grab this. I'll make a quad out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make a quad out of that. Okay, and then I can grab these guys, right? Go ahead and extrude that all the way across. Let's grab this and fill it in. Alright, getting close. Getting close here. Let's go for this section here. We'll go from here to here. We'll extrude along the Y. And we'll line it up with that. We'll SY0. Okay. And then we can just like... I have different geometry in the back than I do in the front. So... let's think about that. How's that going to work out? If I fill that... select this. If I fill that... I have got... put a triangle or an N-gon back here. It's just a truck bed. Or I can get rid of some of the geometry. Maybe I'll just get rid of some of the geometry. Let me grab these guys and go ahead and oh, it's already selected. Alright, we'll go ahead and connect those together like so. Let me just put this guy more like here. Probably don't need all that geometry anyway. And then grab that and fill it. And that should mostly do it. The inside of the bed is all roundy. I don't want that, so I'm going to go ahead and start grabbing these edges that mark up. Oops, not all that. Let's grab this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Nope, not that guy. That guy. Where are you at? Come on, not you. You. And yeah. Those right there should do it, and I'm going to go ahead and do sharp edges. And that'll sharpen that all up. This looks a little funky. I don't know why that looks quite so... like it should be pretty square. Everything's flat. It should be pretty square. I need to change my that's not it. Those wheel wells are a little hokey looking. Okay, so the other thing I can do then is I can adjust the mean crease on it. So let me select. Come on. Grief, man. Just give me what I'm looking for here. Grab that, this, and this. And I can sharpen it up like that. That makes a little more sense. Probably want to do this line as well. No, I actually don't want to do that line, do I? Looks a little bit funky. Let's grab those and we'll take the mean crease off of those. And yeah, what the hell? It's the inside of a truck bed. I can fix it later if I really am dying to. Alright, so here I have kind of a little bit of a mess. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to try to clean that up right there. Let's space these out a little more like that. It's starting to look a little better here. Alright, we have roughed out our truck. I think this is, I would call this roughed out complete. From this point, we can add our shrink wrap, and we can shrink wrap model from here. For the most part, I think. Depends on how critical I want to get on this guy right here. Let me take a look at it with the subsurf cranked up. Crank the subsurf up to 3. Oh yeah. Oh, that looks good. Oh yeah, that's gonna look good. Okay. Let me grab my my matte cap here. Let's take a look one more time. Make sure our reflections are... Oh, I got a little bit of a weird thing going on. It's because of this. Because of these long quads that I've used to contain this, I now have a little bit of a weird reflection right here. It's actually okay on the other side, so I think all I need to do then, I think this quad right here is just too long. So let's try to make it a little bit more user friendly here. Let's slide these over a bit. Slide those up a little bit and slide this guy down here. Slide this guy up. Let's grab these. And slide these over. Grab these. Oh, don't want all that though. Try to make it a little less crazy. So a little bit there. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, I don't think you'll see it in automation. And again, this is just our target mesh at this point. Let's take a look at the rest of it. Yeah, reflections are passing through pretty neatly. I got the bulge going on. It terminates right about where I want it to terminate. Yeah, it's not too bad. This is nothing. It's a little weird right here. Some weirdness going on. Aha. Because it's kind of tapering upwards right there. So let's try to... Maybe I'll grab these four. Make sure they're not tapering up. Still not quite there. Something is a bit off with the way these lines are set up here. Oh, look at that. Oh, that thing's sticking out. Oh, that's weird. So we need to... Let's go to the top view. Oh yeah, that's sticking way out. That's way off. I can't have that. It's doing it up here too. So let's move these in. Maybe not that far. Maybe about that far. There we go. Now it's making sense. Much cleaner. Okay. Continuing on, let's check the reflections on the back here. That looks pretty good. Yeah, roof looks okay. Front end looks okay. Yeah. Alright. I think we're in okay shape. This might be a little flat right back here. Yeah, that's a little bit flatter than I think I'd like it. Well, that is the shape of the car. It kind of is supposed to be... Yeah, it's supposed to be flat. It's supposed to be kind of flat. I don't know. I think I'll leave it alone. Maybe it should actually be slightly more flat, if anything. Because it's this right in here, kind of throwing me off a tad. I kind of want to grab these. Maybe I'll move those down like so. And do the same thing here. Move these down a tad. Maybe that'll help. Yeah, there we go. And that cleans that up quite a bit. Quite a bit. Alright. Yeah, I'm getting pretty happy with this. Got some decent reflections going on. Alright, let's see what that looks like when we shrink wrap it. So I'm going to make a duplicate of it. I'm going to change the name of the Douglas Eco Truck Target. There we go. I'm going to hide it so I don't have to see it. Go in here, make sure I'm on the actual truck that we're modeling. Turn the subsurf back down to 1. Go to the shrink wrap. Go to Eco Truck Target. And then let me tab in here and assign all the vertices to the shrink wrap. And go ahead and turn it on. And you can see right away, major difference. As soon as I turn it on, now this is the same model. This is the same low poly model that we just got done building. Shrink wrap off, RTX off, RTX on, RTX off, RTX on. What it's doing is it's taking what I have built and it's sucking it down onto the higher poly model to straighten everything out, and it's causing a few issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the high poly model real quick. I'm going to add a few more container loops to it to sharpen it up. So I'm going to hide this truck and go back in here, because now with this guy, poly count doesn't matter anymore. At this point, it's just a matter of getting the shape we want. So I'm going to throw that in. Like, we can do all kinds of mess with this. We can put n-gons in here. We can put triangles in here. It doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to go ahead and throw like an edge loop in here because I want that contained. Because I want a sharper line like that. Yep, just what I'm after. And wheel wells I'm already happy with. I don't need to do anything there. So yeah, you can see that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get kind of like this line going across here. I want that bed there. That's kind of what I'm after. So let's see how that looks now on the Eco Truck. Not bad. Not bad for a low poly model. Alright. Let's take a look. What's that look like with the wireframe on? So as you can see, the top of the bed is not what I'm after. This is not what I want it to look like. So what I got to do is go back in here, and it's going to need some additional geometry. Let me throw just one edge loop in here like this and contain it. And now my triangle is a quad. Okay, let's have a look now at the wireframe. And now it curves off a bit and kind of flattens out some, which that's a bit better. Because it's just kind of it's not like a modern pickup truck, right? It just kind of folds over a little bit. Maybe it should be a little bit flatter at the top. I mean, and we can do that still. We can get in here, and I can probably grab this inner ring. And let me go ahead and try making this just a little bit. I'm going to have to do this also with the other model, because right now it's not going to do anything because it's shrink wrapping it right back to where it was. So I'm just going to kind of, hold on a second, just going to kind of pull this out real quick like that. And I'm going to go back into the other model and do the same thing, because now I've decided I want the truck to look a little bit different. Oh, well, look, on this one, it is actually fairly, no, it's not that flat. So anyway, it's the same mesh though, so I can just kind of clock in here, and we're going to grab that. And do the same general idea. I'll pull that out. Grab these two guys that we left behind, pull them out. About like that. Alright, that should fix up this one now. Oops. Ooh, oh dear. Why is it doing that? Oh, I'm on the wrong. Heads up. Something has gone slightly awry. Sometimes this happens. Hello. There it goes. Okay. Sometimes it just has a little bit of a calculation issue. So I may want to try bringing this up again. But I actually think I'm going to move it up along the z-axis. And I'll do the same thing over here. Just fine-tuning here. It's not going to be like this, going back and forth over time. I'm just kind of fine-tuning what I'm trying to get finished. And yeah, it's doing that weird thing again. Just trying to fine-tune what I'm getting finished so I can move on to the rest of the model. And that's still not quite what I'm after. Maybe I want one more loop in here. What happens if I do that? Do that. Don't need that. How about in here? Maybe that's what I needed. That's more like what I'm after. Okay. Let me take a look at my mesh over here. Oh, I added a bunch of geometry in here. Oh no, that's what I wanted. Oof. I definitely didn't want to add all that. Well, maybe I did. That's not terrible. It's not the end of the world. Helps define this line, which is a good thing. Okay. Yeah. That's not too shabby. Alright, now I can start modeling in glass and doors and door seams and all that kind of stuff. Actually, I'm good. I didn't do a rear wheel well. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Where's my front wheel well? Oh, I guess I never finished off the front wheel well. So, now what we can do is we're going to end up using the vertex group to remove stuff from the shrink wrap that we don't need as part of it. So, like, I want to connect this to, like, I want all of this needs to be, like, extruded a bit. And I didn't quite do it. Alright? It needs to be a little lip down here. It needs to connect to the existing underbody kind of infrastructure that I got going on. So, what I'm going to do is, actually, let me just start from there. Let me skip these ones. I'll do those ones in a minute. So let me make sure I have, I'm going to turn that off for a second. So I'm going to extrude along the X. Alright. Try and do something like that. Now I'm going to put it on because I want that to merge with that guy. Okay. But the problem is, you can see it's not showing up. So what I have to do is I have to remove these vertices from the shrink wrap modifier, and that will allow me to manipulate the rest of these vertices. So now what I can do is, how in depth do I want to get here? I'm going to do the same thing over here. I need to do this and get this mat cap off of here so I can see a little better. Oops. Whoa. Just want that guy. I'm going to do the same thing I just did over here. Let's extrude along the X until it meets up. I want them to merge together, and they are. Okay, so let's do kind of the same thing here. Let's extrude these along the Y. Extrude this along the Y. And go ahead and move it along the X a bit. So now let's make sure that these are removed so that we can see it. We can. And let's finish up the back. And this is something I'm going to end up coming back to a little bit later. Whoa, what have I done over here? Oh, these guys are sticking out rather than sticking in. Let's fix that up. So they're sticking in. Okay, that makes more sense, huh? Alright, we'll extrude that along the Y. Whoa. Heads up. Extrude that along the Y. There we go. Go ahead and remove it. And we'll grab this guy here. Extrude it along the X. Move it along the Y. Okay. Go ahead and fill that. Go ahead and fill that. We're going to grab this whole rim, remove it from the shrink wrap group. Whoops. No, I did something wrong. You don't want to remove all that crap. I want to just remove these from the shrink wrap group, and I've got something weird going on. I've got a weird... Oh dear, I have connected a face that does not belong to be connected. That should not be there. Let's try this again. I connected the wrong vertices together. There we go. Now let's make sure that those are removed. Alright, so we have a little bit of an underbody. And now, how do I want to deal with it? I think, I just want to make the underbody and everything bigger at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and move it, just move it. Move it like this, thereabouts, so that it's sticking in. I'm going to grab these. I'm going to have to do some scaling here. Let's go to active element, scale it along the X. Whoa, and grab them all. Scale them along the X. And then we can just move them along the Y. I scaled the wrong. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to scale this along the X. Still not getting what I'm looking for. I want this down here. Alright. Now let's move this out until it's out there. Alright. And same thing over here. Scale that along the X. Am I on bounding box? That's why it's not working. Alright, move that out here. Okay. Now I've got a bit of an underbody. Some wheel wells, a bit of an underbody. And I'll probably separate those later. Those are going to be separated into a separate element later. And then, because we're going to need to do our lip and stuff. So that's something I can come back to. We're not there yet. We're not at that point yet. So now we're at the point where we're going to put some glass in it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the front windshield. So the front windshield kind of wraps around a little bit, it looks like. Yeah, actually wraps around pretty good according to the blueprint. So we want this to be our windshield going all the way through here, and then there's going to be a door seam here. The door seam will cut across here. Yeah, So I'm just thinking about this right now. How do I want to... We're going to have this little wraparound quarter window, which is really kind of a cool feature. That's another thing we're going to do. We're going to wrap that around. Then we'll have just kind of a smaller rear window. So let me go ahead and attempt to begin. Just going to go ahead and... I don't think that's where I want to be, though, is it? Well, you know what? I'm going to... yeah, what I'm going to do... I'm going to take all of these for now, from there to about there. I'm going to move them back a touch. I'm going to try to move this whole section. It's like, what am I moving too much of this? I don't need this whole thing. I just want this line. That's the only line I want to move. Trying to follow the line there. Okay, so now let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. I'm going to throw a little bevel in here just to split this up like so. I think I'm going to give it... No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Maybe I'll give it 1. Yeah, let's give it 1 for now. I'm going to grab this, just kind of move it out. And I'm going to remove that from the shrink wrap modifier so I can actually see it. Okay, so I have a rough line. Let's see, what does it look like in comparison to the blueprint? It's actually not the worst thing ever. Kind of has this weird curve at the top, and that's not what I'm after. So let me grab this line. Let me just scale it, or just slide it up here until that curve makes a little more sense. And I'm going to have to do the same thing down here. I'm going to have to add a line down here until this curve makes sense. So that's starting to look a little bit like a piece of glass. Just a little bit. Not particularly. I think my outside rim here might be a little aggressive. Let's move it back in a tad. Yeah, I think it's not terrible. I mean, it's a start. I'm going to start applying some materials to this thing just to help me visualize a little bit closer. Let's go ahead and add paint. Now I'll be able to visualize while I model a little bit better. Now what I want to do is grab all these loops and I want to make this window trim. Oh, I don't have a window trim, I just have a trim. I'll use that for now. Have that make a window trim. So that's obviously not what we're after, but that's okay. We can fix that later because the wireframe will, yeah, we're just going to end up with these for the most part painted in. Tend to actually use 5. I'm not sure why I didn't do it this time. Let's see what happens. Go back, make everything paint. 1, 2, 3. Assign that. Ah. Okay, I can dissolve those later. Those don't have to stay there. I just kind of want to get a better look at my model here. So let's go from here to here. Easy here. I'm going to apply some window material. You can kind of see some window here. Alright, kind of getting an idea of what I'm looking for now. Kind of stand out a little bit. It's a little bit hokey looking. It's not quite right. Let's see. This corner is pretty low poly right in here, so I'm probably going to throw in... Oh, I don't think I really want to move these just yet. I might want to bevel this. Just two. Might want to just give that a quick bevel and then move this over about like that. Okay, that helps clear up the low polyness of the model there. Doesn't look so wonky anymore. I don't know. Go ahead and get rid of some of these. I don't want these here. I don't really want those there right now. I'll just deal with the kind of temporary ugly looking rim. And yeah, see, it kind of does this little wave here as it goes around the corner. And I think that's because this is not really tapering down. It's kind of flat. Something about that there, just trying to make it make a little more sense. This looks a little off to me right here. It's not quite right. Let me take a look at my wireframe again. This is just not really... Let me move that out again. The wireframe's making it look like it's not really coming out that far. But it is. Not fairly far. So it's kind of like it's affecting a lot more of the mesh than I want it to. So maybe what I'll try to do seems to be a little bit distracting. What happens if I throw a crease in here? There we go. Now I'm getting more of what I'm looking for. Throw a little crease around the window, tighten it up a bit. That should make the wireframe make more sense. It does. Yeah, the wireframe makes a lot more sense now. It looks more like a... this is very much out of whack. So there's something here. I'm going to have to like space these out. Let's see here. Just want to space these out here a little bit. Move these about this way some. Ah. Stop. Still being a little bit wonky over here. Not sure what's up with this wireframe. This glass, to me this glass is behaving a little oddly right in here. It's not quite behaving the way I'd expect it to. It's too curved. Well, maybe it's not. It looks a little bulgy to me. Yeah, see, it's kind of bulging out. This is going backwards. This is doing the opposite of what I expect it to be doing. Why? Why are we out of whack? You didn't get moved over. That might have something to do with it, but this... see, it's not part of it. It's not part of the shrink wrap. Seems like it should just make more sense. It's really just not yet making any sense. See, now it's all super sticking out up here. I don't want that. So let me deselect these ones. It's just kind of up here that's really being a problem. Still, it's inverted. It must just be, I must be tripping on the materials or something. I'm not sure exactly why it looks like this. It's being very, very odd to me. Yeah, that is not behaving the way it should be behaving. This is fine, and then it dips down in here. It's fine here, and it's lost. So this whole section is just kind of lost for some reason. Don't know why. From here to here to here, down to here and here, this whole area is just wrong. I guess I just need to mess with it some more. I don't know, it's being really... maybe if I bevel this one time. Just needs one bevel. Yeah. These guys right in here are just... they're in the wrong place. let me just deselect these. I'll deselect that. And we'll move these guys out. Move these out. Man, I got some weird reflections now. Yeah, this is being really not happy with this right now. I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, so I guess it's just the shrink wrap is... Alright, here's what I think I'm going to do. I think what I should do, let me delete these edge loops. Oops, I need to do that. No, let's just merge them together. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the shrink wrap and then I'm going to try this again. So let's go over here, let's copy it, apply it. So now the mesh lines up with the shrink wrap. What it's done is it's glued everything, so everything is moved now. Now, hopefully this will work better. Or at least I'll be able to see exactly why. Yeah, now I can see why things are out of place. Now that the shrink wrap's been applied, it's starting to make a little more sense. So let's get rid of those, let's get rid of those, and just put these into locations that start to make more sense. So that guy, he's kind of looking vert by vert right now. So these two here, that one's probably fine. Move this one in a little. This one we might want to move up a little, move in a little. These guys here, probably want to move down a tad. Sorry, down. Come on. And now I have this kind of crookedness. I'll have to fix that in a second. But for now, let's just continue fixing our weirdness. Let's have a look here. Pull that guy out, move him up some. Okay. So, yeah, this whole section here looks a little... Everything here is just a little bit off. Gotta tweak it, tweak it, tweak it. This guy here is just a little low, isn't it? Doesn't look right where it is. Yeah, it's kind of doing this dip. Now this is doing a little dip too. Let's take a look at Studio Look. Alright, it looks a lot better. Now it actually looks like a... starting to make a little more sense. Sorry it was such a detour. I mean, good grief, that kind of sidetracked me quite a bit. Just want to fix this. This is still not quite in the right place, but... Oh, not you. You. Okay. I think we've finally arrived somewhere. Somewhere that resembles a window. Somewhere that vaguely and remotely resembles a windshield. wraps around. Yeah, it's not quite at the same angle as the factory window, so I kind of want to fix that. And I think I'll do that by grabbing all of these. Grab that corner right there. And now this is going to cause problems again, I think. That's probably what caused everything in the first place. These guys here, this is all wonky too. I got to fix this. This right here is just, that should not look like that. That should look probably more like that. And then these guys, but not you. Be something a little more like this. I'll have to fix these again. Probably need to reapply the shrink wrap because I'm going to be lost again because I just moved that a ton. Yeah, so let's go ahead and copy and apply. And I can get back in here and see why this is all, yeah, no problem. Let's move it out this way some. Maybe move it a little bit that way. Okay. Starting to make some more sense. We're starting to have something that looks like a wraparound window. Alright, not too shabby. Not too shabby. Well, I think that's a good place to stop and call it lunch. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop this stream. Maybe I'll pick this up after I get something to eat. I can do another one if you guys want. But for now, I think I'm going to call it done. It's been 3 hours. It's a pretty long time. 3 hours. I've got, you know, almost a model started. It's looking good though. Pretty happy with it so far. I'm happy with most of the reflections, and yeah, I think this is going to turn out pretty decently. I've got some work to do still on this windshield, but you know, for the most part, not bad for the first half of the day here. All right, I'll go ahead and kill this, and I'll talk to you guys next time.